Today we're going to be looking at Qbik for the Nintendo Switch, which should appear, bing, right here. Unless it doesn't, then I'm going to look like an idiot, but I'll figure it out. Qbik's an interesting puzzle game, and at $1.49 I didn't have a lot of expectations, but it actually is a pretty decent game. First off, you start playing as Qbik, which is this little green square with an eye in the middle that arose through the will of the ether or whatever, and he's compelled to eat these little yellow blocks, which appear all throughout these cavernous maze-like puzzles. Now, the real difficulty in Qbik is that his gameplay is really impeded by his limitations. Qbik can only move left or right, and that's pretty much it. Other than moving left or right, he can fall, and the only other thing is that he can eat stuff that's in his way. So you're trying to navigate Qbik to these yellow blocks, and he's going to eat anything in his way. That's pretty much it. So the big impact with the initial difficulty is merely navigating which block you get first as you kind of slowly terrace your way down from the top to the bottom of the puzzle. As with every other puzzle game, the puzzle difficulties increase as you keep playing. Well, by the end of the chapter, another unique dimension is included, and in this level we can see that they've included more puzzle area outside of the initial screen. And this, I have to say, is something unique. I've never seen this before. Maybe someone else has done it, maybe they haven't. But this causes you to actually really expand your focus, because now you have other elements to the left, to the right, to the top, to the bottom to consider as you path your way down to make sure you get all of the blocks in the one maze to make sure that you can actually finish the puzzle. Upon completion of this level, you've officially finished chapter number 1, and now even more new difficulties come up. The first one here being the green block with the arrow on it. Now this block specifically can't be eaten, but it can be pushed, and it will fall just like other blocks. So you generally have to eat around it, make sure you put it in a position relative to you that you can push it into a hole to get across a pit in order to eat the final blocks. And while that doesn't seem so difficult, and in concept it's really not, it is terribly difficult, even as early as levels 11 or 12, where you're navigating down and they start integrating more than one of these blocks. You really have to figure out which one you're going to put where, because just because you can push it doesn't mean that's the exact one the game developer thought should be in that exact pit. And you could get all the way to the end of the maze and realize, ah, shoot, I should have pushed that one here and not this one, and then you have to undo everything. But thankfully, that's where a good control element came into play, and that is this rewind button. The game developers really did think a lot about this one, because you don't want a penalty for screwing up in a puzzle game, right? So you can rewind step by step in order to go back and kind of get ahead of where you actually made the mistake. Now, sometimes just going back doesn't quite educate you on what you should have done, so you may have to do it multiple times. And this is one of the flaws. In order to use the rewind feature, you have to go into the menu, and after you use it, the menu is closed. Meaning that if you want to go back multiple steps, or you need to go back multiple steps multiple times, it just gets a little irritating, because you have to reopen the menu, use the rewind function, close the menu, open it again, blah blah blah, so on and so forth. But otherwise, the controls and the multiple pathing ability for Qbik is actually pretty organic and fairly intuitive. Overall, there's not much wrong with it as a casual puzzler, and the unique characteristics of Qbik only being able to go right, left, or down creates an odd dynamic that requires a lot of foresight and intuition, and you will be having to retry some of these puzzles again and again to make sure you get things in the right order, because that is very necessary in some of these puzzles. But this brings us to the one big critique that I would have of this game, and that is the fact that Qbik talks to you. Now, there are games where other things talk to you. If you want to reference, I don't know, any Zelda game where little fairies are like, hey, do this! Hey, look over here! Hey, make sure you push this button! The talking to you, you know, if you go back to the Mega Man X, where it's like, Mega Man! You're like, that's never really been great. But Qbik, when he talks to you, isn't really helpful. He's patting you on the back, congratulating you, saying good job, challenging you to do better. And honestly, for the level of difficulty of these puzzles, we know that this game is made for a slightly older crowd, definitely not children. But these kind of random pats on the back seem really childish and come across as a little bit patronizing at times. And though I'm not suggesting they take it out of the game, I am wishing that that was an option that you could turn off in the menu. So overall, my 2 cents on the issue is that this is a decent casual puzzler, but it does have that one flaw, so take it with a grain of salt. And for $1.49, you really can't fault it that much. Anyway, this has been Budget Gamer. Thanks for watching.